We are here today. We're with Lance Carpenter. And Lance, we've met before. We've got some mutual friends. I'm excited because I know that you are working on a new music festival, and it's called Music on the Mulberry.
It is.
Tell me a little bit how that got started and what your involvement is with it and what people can expect.
It's a great story. Starting from a bad thing, it kind of started turning a bad thing into a positive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, there was this festival called Thunder on the Mountain.
I remember that.
It was put on in Arkansas, and 2 years prior to that, I performed there with Toby Keith, Luke Bryan, Montgomery Gentry.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, 2 weeks prior to the event, or I guess it was last year, 2 weeks prior to the event, they canceled it. I got an email. I was actually home with my band. We had just got through doing a 4-H benefit, and I got an email saying, "We're sorry, beyond reasons of our control, we're canceling Thunder on the Mountain." I mean, thousands of people had already bought tickets.
Absolutely, yeah.
I had friends from different states that took off work, that had rented RVs, vacation time, and they were looking forward to this festival. And it just tore me up because I thought, man, that's such a great thing for my hometown, for the region, for Arkansas. And I was sitting there with my band, and I said, "Guys, are you off?" I said, "We're already free. We're going to play it." I said, "There's a venue about 5 minutes down the road from there that's already got a stage. Let me call them and see if they'll let me have it for the weekend." And I called, and luckily they didn't have an event going on.
That was fate, yeah.
And I said, "Well, I need it." And I said, "I don't have time to do contracts or anything like that. I just need you to say yes right now." And they said, "Absolutely." It's called Bird's Adventure Center. It's a big 800-acre outdoor adventure center with canoeing and kayaking and rock climbing and hiking.
Awesome.
And they have 2 stages there. One's a wood stage and one's a big steel stage that's about 50 foot wide and 30 foot deep. And I thought, all right, so now I've got 12 days. How can I plan a festival in 12 days? And I wasn't even thinking really plan a festival. I was thinking just at least me and my band will go play,
sure.
and it'll give them something to do. Maybe I can call some other local bands that are available. With that much short of time, it's just impossible. And I called some friends and I said, "Hey, here's my situation. How can I do this?" And they're like, 12 days? You won't. You might play, but there's no way you can organize anything that quick. You just can't do it. And so I put the word out that I was going to do an event, and Channel 5 and Channel 40, 29, and all the newspapers and all the radio stations just started blasting that we were doing it. And it was just kind of this, this local artist is going to try to take a bad situation and turn it into a positive thing. And I didn't know what was going to happen. And long story short, we turned it into a 3-day, 2-stage, 23-act event with local, regional, and 3 national headlining acts.
Wow.
That came out. And it was totally funded by basically me and my family. And we had a lot of local sponsors that stepped up and helped out and donated food and donated resources. And we really threw it together. And I had some friends that do some small festivals in their hometown, and they showed up and they looked around when they got there to play, and they're like, "You did this in 2 weeks? Goodness!" And then we had Kevin Fowler and Roger Krager. We had Keith Anderson come out and play, Ricochet. And then we had a bunch of people from Nashville, friends of mine that are up and comers.
Sure.
3 of them have signed record deals since in the last year. And it was just such a great weekend. We had a blast. We had vendors. We had a big water slide for the kids, helicopter rides. We brought a BMX stunt bike team to do things in between shows. And
you hustled.
And we did. It about killed me. Because I was working in Arkansas and driving 7 hours through the night to get back to Nashville, and I had writing appointments that I couldn't cancel, and then I was talking with agents trying to book acts.
Sure.
And it was a mess, but it turned out to be one of the best weekends I've ever had back home.
Well, it must be if we're doing another one.
Absolutely. So everybody said you got to do another one, and I said, all right, let me jump back up on this horse.
Wow. So you're in the process now of booking the artists. You haven't really released a lot of names, just maybe a couple here and there. And
we've got
getting things rolling.
Myself is going to be a headliner on Friday night. We've got Trailer Choir that's going to come in and do the late night jam on Friday night. And we've got some local acts and some regional acts that we have secured. We just haven't got them announced yet. We're waiting on photos and bios and contracts.
Sure.
And then we've got our eye on a couple of major players for the headliner on Saturday night. And I'm really excited when we finally get to announce who it's going to be.
Good.
Because they're a well-known band that's done well in the region, and artists that are well known with big songs. So it'll come down to which ones we choose.
Right.
It's going to be fun.
It'll be fun. And it's the week after our CMA Fan Fair here, or CMA Music Fest, whatever you want to call it, June 17th and 18th, correct?
Correct, so I'll be here for CMA Fest at Artist Booth, and hopefully performing, and then go home and do something for home. So it's nice to be. Last year, we had probably around like 500 people a day, so we probably saw 1,500 people at the festival. this year, I really hope we see 1,000, 1,200 a day.
Right.
That would be great.
Absolutely, would be great.
And it's a huge facility. If we ever did grow, we could bring in one of the big, super stages for big acts to use. And I could see this, with the support and with, God's blessings, we could be one of the biggest festivals in Arkansas in a couple of years.
Sure.
And just to be...
Well, they all have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, and that will, like, this year, last year we had zero chance to even partner with anybody on it. It was just kind of thrown together. This year, I've been reaching out to local nonprofits and charities to try to find ways to make this benefit them. I'm not doing this to make a profit. I don't. If I break even every year, I'm tickled to death because it brings something, to the community. But we're looking at local, Veterans Affairs and military organizations, anything to do with kids. Talking to Arkansas Children's Hospital, see if they'd be willing to get involved somehow. And so, and
it helps build the community when you have local stuff.
Exactly.
So
I want it to do that. I want it to be a family friendly, a beneficial to the region kind of thing.
Well, cool. Well, I know you've had your share of excitement over the past year or so with Kelsey Ballerina having such a huge song for you. So, what's on the songwriting? What are you looking at? What are you doing? Anything big coming, or have you had any big cuts this year? Or?
I hope so. I have no control really over that, but just recently in the last few weeks, I've had a few cuts on some artists here in town that are independent artists. Hudson Moore just released a song that we wrote called Some Are. Me and him and Philip Pence wrote it. It's his new single on iTunes right now. And got one other cut on his album, and then also Chris Cavanaugh put out a song called Forever, Forever that me and him wrote and I produced, which is kind of neat to have a hand in the production side of it. Something I've always wanted to dabble in but never have. And hopefully in a couple of weeks there might be a cut on an artist that everybody knows. Sure. But it's not there yet.
Yeah.
But we keep getting, they love the song, they keep loving the song, so hopefully that'll happen. But I just try to write the best songs I can, and between me and my publisher and our co-writers, we try to place them where we can, and hopefully one will stick.
Are you doing Tin Pan this year?
I am. Yep. Good. I'll have a round with Wood Newton, who's also from Arkansas, a good friend of mine. Mike Loudermilk, who's a legend in this town. He's played with Crystal Gale and had cuts from all sorts of people, and then also Steve Seskin.
That's a great round. From,
Tim McGraw to Toby Keith and so on. So very cool. I'm really excited. It's going to be a great night of songs and stories.
Yeah, that will be great. One thing I always kind of like to ask, especially when you're out there, what have you found to be some of your biggest struggles or ways to get your music out to? I mean, I know as a songwriter, it's a little bit different because there's song pluggers and publishing companies and all that, but yet you still have to get that out there and make it important that they pick your song to push. So how do you get to them? And, especially for those that are just new in the business, what advice you might have for them? Yeah,
absolutely. I'm very blessed. I do have a publisher. I write for Parallel Entertainment, Tim Hunzy, Hannah Showmaker, Jeff Carlton. So I have that built-in network of people to get my songs places. Before then, I was signed to Bigger Picture, and I got signed there back because the way I got signed, I had a co-writer who had met with them, and they liked some of our songs, and he gave me a guy's card, and I called and said, hey, I heard you met with the co-writers, they like some of my songs, I'd like to come in and meet with you. And I said, absolutely. And that first meeting is always really hard. You either have to have a recommendation from a writer or from another publisher or from your PRO or NSAI or someone like that, a lawyer that says, hey, you should take 10 minutes with this person. And then it's all about bringing the songs. You have to have songs that are as good or better than what they're paying their staff writers to write, or are different than what they're paying their staff writers to write. And you build that relationship over a period of time, and some people get signed after 1 or 2 songs, and some people it takes 50 or 60 songs in a year or 2 of meeting with them. And it took me about 10 months of meetings, and we went through many songs, and some days we met and just got to know each other. It wasn't about the music. Right. And then eventually they offered me a deal, and I've just been blessed ever since. Yeah. How do you feel about, of course, there's the bro country that people say is on its way out, and a lot of the traditional country coming back in. Are you seeing that trend with songwriting as you meet with different people? Are you thinking that it's kind of going that direction too? A little bit. I mean, country music's always kind of been a pendulum. From the Bakersfield days to the Johnny Cash days to the 90s of country, and it's always changing. And Garth, he was different than everything else. Absolutely. And so I think it's going to be an evolutionary process the whole time. I think, the artists like Florida Georgia Line and like Lou Bryan and those people that do that, that bro country thing, and they do it well. I think a lot of people tried to do that because it became popular, and it just kind of saturated the industry with some songs that weren't as substantial as what we have been used to in the genre. But there's always been those traditional acts that have kind of kept the way. I mean, you got Craig Campbell and you got William Michael Morgan, people like that. Mo Pitney, who's, oh my gosh, he's great. Chris Janson, who are always going to keep that flag going. There'll always be a few artists, but I think you'll see it kind of go from bro country. You'll see it go back to kind of southern rock. You'll see the story song come back, and I love the story song.
I do too. I'm always a lyrics and melody person first. So
so it's going to do what it does. It's going to benefit a lot of people, but I think do what you do, and eventually someone will want that.
Absolutely. Is there a pinnacle out there for you as a songwriter on someone that you're just dying to write with? Someone that you
George Strait. I grew up listening to him. I would die for a George Strait cut. I think that would be awesome. As far as writing with, man, there's some writers in town like Casey Beathard and Rivers Rutherford and that I would love to write with that have been around forever. And then there's a camp that I really respect, and I may not ever write with, but they'll always be friends, and that's Josh Osborne and Shane McAnally and Brandon Clark. And, all them, they're just... They're a breed of their own.
Yes,
they're such
are.
great people. Brandy, when Kelsey's song went #1, she was one of the first people to reach out and congratulate me through an email and just say, "Hey, this is awesome." And so it's just that kind of community, and you'll do that. But George would be an awesome. That
would be it.
That would make my mom really happy. And anything that makes my mom happy, I'm happy with. So, but there's some other artists. Lee Brice, I would love to hear a song of mine. Or
I can see you and Lee doing a song together.
Yeah,
you kind of have that.
I'd love to hear something I wrote in their voices because I think they're just phenomenal artists. They have a way of emoting so well. So.
If you want it, it'll happen eventually.
From your words to God's ears.
Well, is there anything else that we didn't touch on, or anything that you wanted to really make sure that your fans got to know, or?
Well, for anybody that's interested in the music on the Mulberry, there's a website that they can go to, and they can kind of see what it looked like last year and find some more information. It's musiconthemulberry.com. So that's one of my main focuses right now. Aside from writing and touring, me and my band are touring all over the place. My website is lancecarpentermusic.com. I welcome anybody to go there and check out some music. I've got music on iTunes and Spotify and things like that. But I don't know if there's anything else I want them to know. I just appreciate anybody that wants to support, and appreciate y'all for stepping in. And asking to meet with me today. So
I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more from you, that's for sure. So thank you very much for taking time to talk to us today, and I know we'll see each other again soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.